There are 3 times when riders fall off. Number 1 is when the horse goes one way and we go another. Number 2 is the unscheduled dismount, also known as basically bailing off of your horse because you don't see any better options or you don't feel you're gonna stay on for whatever it is that they're doing. And then the 3rd time that we fall is when our horses want us off. That includes bucking, rearing, or maybe even having a roll because they totally forgot that they had a rider on top of their backs. In today's video, I'm going to be diving into these 3 ways that riders actually fall off their horses and how you can get a sticky butt without applying Velcro to your saddle or your breeches. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and also comment down below some of your favorite sticky butt stories of the time that you tried to stay on and somehow didn't. Because guess what? We've all done that. Today's video is actually a small piece of a much larger discussion. I actually discuss how to get a sticky butt in the upcoming virtual clinic, which is taking place right now. So if you haven't already signed up for it, head on over. You can watch the recordings. And basically it's totally free. It's 3-day long, this clinic, and we have more than 20 different speakers, and I'm one of them. So yeah, go ahead and click the link down below if you want to watch the entire discussion with me, where I go a little bit more into depth about having a sticky butt. Now, when it comes to having a sticky butt, there are actually a lot of exercises and things which you can do to have a deeper seat and be able to move with your horse no matter what they do. Now, I'm not going to go into the exact exercises in this video, but I want to discuss a little bit about the mechanics of how it works and how you can actually improve your chances to make it like the least likely scenario that you would fall off. Because that's kind of my goal, is that, you know, although falling off is never like 1000% unavoidable, okay, it does happen even to the best of us, even to the professional riders, you know, anyone can fall, but the goal is to make it so darn difficult for you to fall off that it almost never happens or very rarely happens. So let's dive into the first scenario, which is your horse goes left and you go right, or your horse suddenly stops and turns the other direction when you were going forward. Now, this is a topic which is answered with balance, okay? If you are a balanced rider, so for example, if your seat is with that saddle, okay? If you are balanced and you are moving with your horse, no matter what they do, where they go, your seat and your bum is gonna stay with them at all times, okay? Now, again, there are specific exercises and techniques where you can learn to get that deeper seat and really feel like you have super glue and that you can kind of ride with them, even if you weren't like subconsciously or consciously prepared for your horse to suddenly, you know, bolt to the left or spook right or stop at a jump or whatever it is, okay? Because your seat is going to be so aligned with your center of gravity is going to be with their center of gravity. So even if they stop and turn, before your brain switches on, your muscle memory and your body is just going to naturally move with them because you know how to follow them. Now again, this takes a lot of work, a lot of practice, and there are a lot of exercises which you can do to actually learn and develop that seat and be able to ride with them. This is going to save you in so many scenarios, and it's going to make your life so much easier and much more fun. To visualize it a little bit better, it's going to be like surfing waves, okay? No matter what the waves are doing or how big the waves are or where the waves are going, if you know how to surf, you're going to be able to cruise along and ride those waves, and it's going to feel super smooth, super effortless. And I've had this happen to me a lot of times where I'm on a young horse or spooky horse or something happens and I didn't even realize that the horse had kind of stopped suddenly or, you know, bolted to the left sideways 20 feet or whatever. But my body just naturally moved with the horse and it was a non-issue. Now, the second time that we fall off are those unscheduled dismounts. I also say that's kind of that split second where you see the fence or you see the obstacle and your body and your mind kind of subconsciously makes that decision, I'm not gonna make it, or I'm not gonna stay on, or it's gonna be worse if I try, let me just bail. Okay, and again, it might be totally subconscious. It's a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a second. Okay, it's a split second decision, and we don't always like know that we are in control in that moment that we are deciding to bail off or, you know, do that unscheduled dismount. Now, unscheduled dismount is great when we land on our feet, but a lot of times we don't. We oftentimes will have an unscheduled dismount and we'll fall, into the jump pole or into the fence or into, the hedges or, whatever it is that are, whatever the reason was. Or even if the horse is like bucking and we just kind of subconsciously decide like, this horse isn't going to stop and I don't know how to stop it, so I'm just going to bail. So that is the second time that we fall off. Now this one is solved actually more by mindset. We need to retrain and reprogram our brains and our body to respond in a way where we would rather stay on and ride it than bail. Okay, and I know that sounds a little bit like, huh? What do you mean? Nobody wants to fall into, jump poles, okay? So it might be hard for you to accept that, in that split second, you kind of saw it and you made that sort of conscious decision to, just keep going into the poles. So it might be hard for you to grasp, like, how do I solve that? I didn't even realize that I mentally made that decision. So there's a lot of things which you can do to kind of mentally, you have to retrain yourself and retrain your reflexes not to respond that way. Again, this is going to take time and patience and practice. And the next time that this happens to you, I want you to try, and in that split second, without hesitation, make that subconscious or conscious decision of, I'm riding this, or I'm staying on, okay? Even before the fall almost happens. So if you're riding and the horse bucks one little buck, okay, before you even lose your balance or whatever, just tell yourself, I'm riding it, okay? And when you consciously tell yourself again and again, have a little like power statement or a little power phrase, and that will, over time, your brain will subconsciously kick in and it will register through your body. Your brain will kind of send the message everywhere saying, hold on boys or hold on girls, like we're riding this. And then the last thing that riders often fall off from is when our horses actually want us off. Now this one is really, really a tricky one, but I kind of have a little loophole. Now I know a lot of riders, we kind of judge our ability and our riding skill level based on our ability to ride, the bucking horse or the rears or, all of the silly things that horses do. I've had a young thoroughbred horse actually launched itself over a jump grid because it saw a pole on the ground and it was supposed to go through the entire exercise, and for some reason the horse just like launched itself over the entire thing. It was like a crazy scenario, but I stayed on. So, when a horse wants you off, and you might be saying like, oh, even the best rodeo riders in the world only stay on for 8 seconds. Like, how am I going to stay on? And here is my little loophole and my secret. And this is a secret, okay? Can't tell anyone this. But basically, my loophole is, why are you getting on a horse that wants you off in the first place? You don't have to ride the horse that doesn't want you up there. You don't have to ride the horse that is going to buck or rear or do something naughty. Okay, there are so many exercises and things that we can do with our horses on the ground. Okay, we can build a relationship with them. We can develop their bond and trust in us, so that way we can almost guarantee our horses would never buck or rear or do any of that naughty stuff ever while we are up there. So the loophole is, why are you getting on a horse if you know it's gonna do some stuff that you probably are gonna fall off? And that goes for training young unsaddle trained horses as well. When I was training young horses that have never had a saddle on them, I did so much work with them on the ground that by the time I went to sit on their backs, for that horse, it was like, although it was a brand new experience, the horse had never done it before, at that point the horse was so like at one with me, so connected, so trusting of me, that the horse, it was almost an uneventful non-event. The horse was just kind of like, oh, you're up there. All right. And then they moved on with their day. And the few horses that maybe kind of tensed up a little bit, or they kind of, weren't 100% sure about it, I got off. I got off immediately. because there's no reason to be up there when the horse isn't ready for it. So the loophole and the trick is you don't have to ride the bucking horse or the rearing horse. And yes, you want to be able to stay on in case it happens. We solved that issue with step number 1, moving with our horse, developing your seat, okay? Moving wherever they go. If they're bucking, if they're rearing, you're moving with them. So we already solved that in step 1. But in this scenario, why are you trying to get on a horse that you are not prepared to ride or they don't want you up there? If you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and also comment down below if these tips resonated with you. And if you have any other questions or comments for me, I'm happy to make a video for you for the next time. Thank you so much and happy trails.